Story of Scaretober, the Basement Demon. A group of paranormal investigators attempted to assist a Philadelphia homeowner who was too frightened to sleep in their own home. Each night, something was making terrible noises in the basement and sounded as if someone was down there. The investigators ended up putting a recorder down in the basement, and this is what they recorded.
Of Scaretober, Mary the Elephant. Mary the Elephant, also known as Murderous Mary, was a 5-ton Asian elephant who performed in the Sparks World famous show circus. And the story about her is very bizarre. In 1916, a man named Walter Eldridge was hired for the circus as an assistant elephant handler with no experience whatsoever. He led the parade on the back of Mary as the star of the show, and wielded an elephant stick, a rod with a sharp spear on one end. Witnesses say he poked her in the back of the ear, causing her to go into a rage, grabbing him with her trunk, throwing him, and stomping on his head, crushing it. The weirdest part about the story is the circus owner decided the only way to solve the situation, and how furious everybody was at the elephant, was to hang Mary. On September 13th, 1916, Mary the Elephant was hanged with over a crowd of 2,500 people by crane.
Can you truly trust your significant other? This story begins with a husband and wife on vacation trying to mend their failing marriage. They're growing apart because they both blame each other for the passing of their son. And as they drive back to their hotel, the husband gets a devilish idea. He tells his wife they ran out of fuel, so they begin to walk through the woods. Except they were never walking back towards the hotel. The husband approaches his wife, but the wife manages to escape to a nearby cave. The husband corners his wife in the cave, but it seems like they're not alone. His wife gets taken, and he finds a mysterious hatch on the floor of the cave. And what lies at the bottom of the hatch will truly shock you.
In honor of Halloween tomorrow, here's an origin story on the Jack-o'-lantern, which of course comes from the Irish folktale about a man named Stingy Jack. The story goes that Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him, but true to his name, he didn't want to pay for the drink, so he convinced the devil to turn into a coin, which he pocketed and kept next to a silver cross. This prevented the devil from changing back into his true form, and when Jack eventually freed him, it was under the condition that the devil would not bother him for 1 year. If Jack should die, the devil would also not claim his soul. The next year, Jack was able to trick the devil again into climbing a tree to pick a piece of fruit, but when he did that, Jack carved a cross on the tree trunk, and this prevented the devil from climbing back down. So they made another deal, this time that the devil would not bother him for 10 years. Because karma is real, soon after, Jack died, but God would not allow such a conniving man into heaven, and the devil was still upset with him, so he wouldn't allow his soul into hell either. Instead, the devil gave him a burning coal to light his way, which Jack put into a carved out turnip. So he forever roams the earth, known as Jack of the Lantern. In Ireland and Scotland, people would carve scary faces into turnips and potatoes and put them in the window to scare off Stingy Jack. And when all of these immigrants started coming to the United States, they used what was readily available, which were pumpkins. And that's where Jack-o'-lanterns come from.
I found footage of Will Smith talking about extraterrestrials. And people still don't believe.
I was at the White House with my family, and we were getting a tour, and Barack and Michelle and Sasha and Malia, and we're walking through the White House. And the night before, Jaden had said to me, "Dad, I got to ask the president about the aliens. I was like, dude, no, it's not cool. No, it's not cool. It's embarrassing.
You have to take that opportunity.
All right. I was like,
answer the question.
Jaden, do not ask the president. So we get into the situation room, and Jaden gets the look in his eyes, and he leans over. He says, "Dad, what's my punishment?" And I was like, Jaden, do not. Barack is talking about the situation room, and Jaden says, "Excuse me, Mr. President." And I was like, "Hey, Barack, man, hey, listen, Jaden." And Barack said, "Don't tell me." And in perfect form, like this is why he's the president, he stopped and looked at Jaden and said, "The aliens, right?"
This
and I was
president
like,
is intuitive, bro.
He said, "Okay, I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of extraterrestrials, but I can tell you if there had been a top secret meeting, and if there would have had to have been a discussion about it, it would have taken place in this room. Oh! And Jada's like, he's like, I told you, Dad, I told you it's aliens. I'm like,
see, now he's going to watch Men in Black 3 and think it's a fly-on-the-wall documentary about his dad.
And here's the deal. Aliens. I know. I have the top secret information. I just can't share it.
Bruh.
You don't think I've made all of these movies and not been briefed by the White House?
It makes sense now.
Of course. I know. I just can't tell you.
Will Smith's an alien. That's what he's saying.
I'm starting a series about scary stories from Latin America, and this one is about gnomes or duendes. This takes place in a rural town in Mexico, Michoacan. There was a man who was a musician that loved to play music, and as he was walking back home through the forest, he heard some noises, he heard voices, and they were duendes. They were like, hey you, come and play for us. They wanted him to play music for him because they saw that he had an instrument. They said, we're having a little party. If you play for us, we'll give you all this gold. They had gold coins. So he starts playing for them and they start dancing. Maybe, for an hour, 45 minutes. And so they give him the gold in exchange for his services. And he runs back home to his wife. Happy to have all this gold in his pocket, he goes back excited to his wife, knocks on the door. His wife opens up and she looks at him like she just saw a ghost. Her husband is like, what's wrong? What's going on? And she's like, we haven't seen you in years. We thought you were dead. He's like, what are you talking about? I've only been gone for like an hour. And she's like, no, it's been years. And she already married some other guy, her best friend. And the guy comes out too and he's like, man, we thought you were dead. What's going on? And he's like, no, I played for these gnomes. They gave me all these gold coins. And when he showed them the coins, they were just regular pesos. They weren't no gold coins. They tricked them.
Scary things that actually happened. On August 29th, 1968, all the televisions shut down because they heard him murmuring over the television, which sounded like the devil.
The craziest crime you or somebody in your family has committed. My friend got blackout drunk and stole a bulldozer that had the keys left in it. He turned it on and obviously didn't know how to drive it, so he just ended up making the Scoopy Park go up and down for a bit before the cops came. They actually let him go too. My father committed one of the first computer crimes in the 90s. A ton of files were corrupted due to a code he created because they fired him. FBI invaded our home and arrested him. Was sent to federal prison for 4 years, which was interesting because there was never a crime committed of its nature before. They made a forensics file episode about it. In college we got a new printer and printed off a bunch of fairly convincing $20 bills, roughed them up and used them at a bunch of fast food restaurants. Didn't realize how dumb it was until years later. My dad told me he once snuck into a tire warehouse. He cut the alarm and came in through a window on the roof, and stole a bunch of tires.
Dad, what are you doing outside? Tommy said, looking at his window. His dad's hands were pressed against the window glass. The dad said, can you open the window, son? I lost my keys and your mom won't open the front door. Tommy walked over and tried to open it, but it was locked shut. He told his dad to wait and ran to his mom's room. His mom looked up as he entered and said, what happened? I can't open the windows for Daddy. He's waiting out there, Tommy said. His mom got up and said, that's impossible. I didn't want to tell you this, but your dad died 2 days ago. Then come see. He pulled his mom and walked to his room. Tommy pointed to his window but saw nothing. But he was just there, Tommy said, surprised. His mom saw handprints on the foggy window and said, I believe you.
Yes, hello. It's almost the end of Spooky Lake Month, where we're doing 31 days of haunted hydrology, and today I have to talk about actual hell on Earth. I bet you weren't expecting the gates of hell to be neon green at the Dalal hydrothermal pools in Ethiopia. The liquid here is actual acid, and it's one of the only places on the planet where we haven't been able to find life, not even extremophiles. These acidic pools are located in the Danakil Depression. This is one of the lowest places on Earth, over 400 feet below sea level, where 3 tectonic plates are tearing apart, lowering the Earth in the center, which is why it's called a depression. Another reason that this is considered hell on Earth is because it's the hottest place on Earth. While other places on the planet have recorded hot spikes in temperature, the Danakil Depression is hot year-round, averaging between 94 and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. In this inhospitable landscape, almost no one lives here except for salt traders. 30,000 years ago, the Red Sea flooded this region. When it evaporated, it left behind miles and miles of salt. They've been trading salt since ancient times, which is why it's also called white gold. However, for most people and most life, this boiling, acidic, salt-crusted earth is inhospitable. One of the other potential gateways to hell in the Danakil Depression is the Urta Ale volcano. It's one of the only continuously erupting volcanoes on the planet, and yes, it has blue lava because of the high sulfur content here. Sulfur that also permeates the air along with chlorine gas, making it almost impossible to breathe. The irony of this hellscape is that it's also considered one of the cradles of human life. The Danakil Depression is where we found Lucy's bones, one of the most famous skeletons ever discovered. Found in 1974, this 3.2 million-year-old hominin fossil gave us clues to how humans evolved. And despite finding evidence of early human life, we have yet to find any life in these pools of boiling acid, which doesn't look good for astrobiologists trying to find possible life on other planets. A hellscape covered in lime green pools devoid of life, 9 out of 10 spookies.